Welcome to the Hire Yourself Podcast. My name is Pete Gilfill, and I'm here with my business partner, Nat True. We're all about helping people become better business people or just becoming entrepreneurs. Good morning, Nat.
Good morning, Pete. How are you
doing? It's good to be here today.
Try to say better business builders 10 times fast.
You're having trouble saying it once. I don't know if I'm going to be able to say it 10 times. So super. I know it's hard to believe. I'm pumped up today. So, I worked for Ford for over 17 years, right? And I'm a Ford guy. And so this whole thing of electric cars, we've talked about the Mach-E that I drove, and we talk about Tesla, and, I get worried about the range, and I just like the feel of the gas-powered vehicles, but there's some cool stuff with electric vehicles. So one of my biggest concerns is I don't want to be sitting at a Starbucks recharging my car for 2 hours, right? And get there and I can't get it charged. So the cool thing that happened this week is Ford basically filed a patent for a charging system. So they have created a charging system where you can charge a car in 5 minutes.
All right. Well, you have to tell me more about that one.
Well, the deal is that the problem is if you try to charge a car in 5 minutes like that, boy, there's so much heat associated with it. So they had to design a special cooling system to be able to do it. So they basically say with this technology, and they don't have it yet, but they got the patent pending, is that basically it's just like going to a gas station. 5 minutes, charge, bam, you're out. Is that's cool crazy. Or what?
That is, I'll believe that when I see it, but yeah.
All right. So very cool. Well, talking about kind of the very best and cool things, we have a very special guest today. And this is the first time ever that we've had somebody on a second time. Do you realize that, Nat?
That's got to be Lance. Is that who you're talking about?
This is Lance Freeman, our favorite, the best in franchising. Lance Freeman, president of franchise development for Exponential Fitness. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored. I can't believe I've been on here now twice.
Well, yes. You're probably just the only one willing to put up with us a second time here. But it is so good to see you and have this conversation. And I know, and one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you back on is there's so many exciting things going on at Exponential right now. And it's fun to watch you guys continue to grow, and you got this great role. So I would think I was reading, you guys actually, Exponential went public, didn't they not?
We did. Yeah, we went public in July, and the stock has almost doubled since we went public. So it's on a run. It's great.
Well, there's so many good things. And one of the reasons why I think you guys that stock is just increasing in value is you guys have some great things going on. What's going on with Exponential? I know you guys are additional brands, things like that. So tell us some good stuff that's happening at Exponential.
Well, I guess the first thing that comes to mind is we just had our third quarter earnings call last week. And that was kind of exciting because now as a publicly traded company, I used to be able to tell you every week what we were doing and what we were putting up, Pete. And now I have to kind of keep it, close to the vest because we're not supposed to share all those forecasting details. But we can announce now we awarded 248 licenses in the third quarter.
Holy cow! Wow.
So we're seeing a continued trend, and just on the development side, we had our fifth straight quarter of continued improvement with our system-wide sales. So they continue to improve for the fifth quarter in a row. So it really shows.
So that's membership. So just so we're clear for everybody, that's members. So that's people signing up and paying within the franchise network. That's gone. During a pandemic, each quarter that's grown.
That's correct. Yeah. We even announced after quarter two that July was the best month we've ever had in the history of our company for system-wide sales. So again, that's all based off. We're a membership, based business model. So that's where.
Yeah. So you added 220, I think you said in the last quarter, right? And so how many open locations does Exponential have right now?
Well, globally, we have over 2,000 locations. In North America, we have 1,907 locations open. So, by all standards, a really large franchise store at this point. We've got about 3,600 licenses awarded globally. Because a high percentage of our franchise partners are scaling their business, there's a development schedule associated to some of those sold not open territories that'll get opened in the next kind of 6 to 12 months.
So at call it 2,000, nearly 2,000 here in the United States. That makes you the largest in the United States and also globally. Is that correct?
Yes, by a pretty substantial gap. There's really the closest thing to that would be the Orange Theory System. They have about 1,400 studios, and then it kind of drops off, like a cliff from there. So it's one of the things that I find a little interesting, because I know I hear from people all the time. They'll say, "Oh, it seems like your space is really crowded and there's a lot of competition." And I'll go, I have to agree to disagree on that point. I mean, if you look at nationally franchised, franchise stores that have over 100 doors open, there's literally, less than a handful outside of the ones that we own.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so you'll be 3 times the competition, the largest. You'll be 3 times that when you guys say. And maybe you're not allowed to tell me now, it's your public company, but what's the goal, right? Is it 5,000? Is it 10,000 locations? I don't want you to get us in trouble here. So
But I guess our goal is to continue to grow, and we continue to add brands. We just added our 10th brand here last month, and so we expect that one to go. I guess I could put it this way: the development efficiency of most of our brands is around 1,000 units nationally. So if we kind of multiply that, by 10, you could call it about 10,000 units as it sits today with the brands that we have, although we'll be acquiring more.
All right, and you're gonna tease us here now. The 10th brand. What is the 10th brand? Tell us.
It's Body Fit Training, and it's a really interesting opportunity for us from the standpoint that it's, the one kind of, I'd call it missing link or modality we haven't had, which is a true strength and core training model. And so I would call it similar to an F45. What's neat, for me, because I'm essentially in the inventory department, is there's 130 plus locations open internationally, a lot of them in Australia and in other parts of the world. But we only have a few open, actually just 2 open domestically here in North America. So we have essentially a wide open country, or if you will, to develop it here. So very proven. There's proof of concept with F45 domestically, but now we're kind of the national rollout stage with that brand here in America.
Well, absolutely. And thanks for saying, by the way, that, not suggesting that I need that. I appreciate that. So very good. So as we talk about this idea of the franchises, and your guys are continuing to grow, you're adding members, a lot of things, what people say is, okay, you're the biggest and the baddest, but what are the advantages? So if I become an Exponential franchisee and I join this big group, how does that translate to competitive advantages for me as the franchisee?
I could speak to you for a couple hours on this one, but if I kind of picked out the top few points, I would say number one, leadership. I always think that one of the biggest things that you're buying into in a franchise company of any sorts is the leadership. And we have just incredible leadership with not only Anthony Geisler, our CEO, majority shareholder in Exponential, but even down from there, our COO, Ryan Junk, or President Sarah Luna, or other now, 10 presidents that are incredibly talented. We just have phenomenal leadership. And I think everything kind of starts with that in terms of, that's a big one. I'd say, outside of leadership, I would probably say relative to our business model is our support philosophy. I think is very different from, not throwing shade on other franchisors, but I think we have a different approach with it. I'll give you an example with hiring. Most franchisors will give you some standard operating procedures on, who you should be hiring and how to go about that process. But then that's up to you. Because it's your business, and God forbid they told you who they thought you should hire and it didn't work out, then the liability would be on them. So we look at it exactly the opposite. We've hired 40,000+ instructors and employees in our business model today. So we would much rather drive the entire recruiting process for our franchise partners, help them with the interviewing process, and tell them who we believe they should hire to set them up for success. Since we've done it so many times, rather than taking on the liability of not doing that and hoping to figure it out. So that's
huge.
But we do that with every aspect of the business model, from real estate to marketing to, so it's a really proactive support approach to make sure our franchisees stay on track and they're happy and making money. And so that's, I'd say, support philosophy is a big one relative to our company. And you kind of look at, I can tie those two things together, and then, look at, 2020, even going through 2020, we had no permanent closures. Still to this day, we've never
That
had a
is
permanent closure.
with 2,000 open, you didn't have a permanent closure.
Yeah, so that's leadership. That's standing up for your partner. That's experience. That is support, philosophy. And I also just say resources. That's another big one. Now as a publicly traded company, we've always had great resources, but now we just literally have unlimited financial resources to make sure we can put things in place to support our franchise partners to make sure that they're set up for success from the get-go. We can invest a couple $100,000 in a Buxton model for an emerging brand before we even award our first license. Things like that is really tough for emerging brands to do, to come out of pocket with that type of dough initially. And so we have a support staff for example BFT. We haven't awarded our first domestic license yet, and we could support hundreds of operating units in that brand today if we wanted to. So that's one of the, I think, compelling things about our business. In addition to the fact that I mentioned we've got now 10 presidents. There's a brain trust there. And I was just talking with a candidate this morning, saying that what's great is those presidents get together once a week on Monday morning for a couple of hours and share best practices. What's working well in one brand is likely translatable to our other modalities as well, so we can adopt that. So it's not just hearing great ideas from a franchisee in one system, it's hearing great ideas from franchisees in now 10 systems. And so that's really powerful when you kind of look at that for what it does as a partner.
And it sounds like Anthony puts a lot of money also into infrastructure like technology, the partnership with Apple, or the Exponential XPass. I mean, it seems like he's on the cutting edge of investing money to improve the businesses for all the franchisees.
It's a great point. I've noticed that, from him from day one. He is not afraid to, spend money ahead of the curve, if you will, over-engineer our support structure ahead of the growth that we're heading into, so we don't have those growing pains that a lot of companies will if they go through some rapid growth.
Okay, so you guys are the biggest, the best, and you provide exceptional support. So clearly that separates you. Now, as you're looking for franchisees, you're looking for the very best franchisees. So I suspect you're very selective in the franchisees that you want to join Exponential. Is that right?
We are, yeah. We can afford to be fairly picky at this point, and we want winners and great partners, just as our partners want to partner up with a great franchisor. So we're pretty picky. I would say the biggest things that we look for. I know this maybe sounds like an overused corporate euphemism, but is the cultural fit. We really feel like there's always going to be challenges in business, but if we've got a good cultural fit with the partner, we're just going to work through whatever challenges come up, find positive solutions, and keep going and move the business forward to be successful. So that's a big one. I think in terms of what we're looking for in a partner, one of the misconceptions I think that I hear a lot is people feel like that they have to have experience in business ownership or in franchising to be considered with our model. I'll go, not the case at all. In fact, at least 80% of our over 1,000 franchisees now were corporate executives, corporate refugees that were looking for an exit strategy from corporate America and looking to take control, own their own business, be able to build a lifestyle and equity in that business. And so that's the majority of our system. And we love those folks because they know how to execute really well. And they don't know any different. So they take that plan and really follow it really well. Sometimes these serial entrepreneurs that we have the hardest time with because they just want to change the planet every turn, and that is not really a good fit for a franchise system. They spend more time in recreation than they do in implementation and execution. So we're looking for people that want to be a leader in their business, want to really manage the manager, and really approach this business from an executive standpoint. And what I mean by that is we don't, and that sounds bad, but we don't want owner operators. We look at our numbers, and our top 30% of our system in terms of unit performance, 99% of them run what we call the GM play, meaning they hire a GM, they hire well, they manage the manager, and they manage the business by the KPIs or the key performance indicators, but they are not in the day-to-day operations. These owners are not instructors, they're not teaching class, they're not answering the phones, they're not wiping down the equipment. There's no place for them in the day-to-day operations. We want them really to be a leader in the business, focus on growing the business. And that's where we want them. And so the bottom third of our system, as you might guess, they're the ones that just feel like, oh, I just have to be here and I can't leave my business to someone else. And that's really a management style. So we look at management style.
Sure.
Are they capable of following our hiring practices, putting people in place, making sure that they're properly trained, and then letting them do what they do, because those are top performing franchisees that we're looking for. So, we're looking for that executive type of owner. We're looking for someone that has, business, experience, not necessarily owning their own business, but they've, been in corporate America or that sort of thing. And obviously they have the financial resources to do this as well, that type of thing.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, and it is, you got to bring your skills, but you just follow the system, right?
Yes.
And you don't try to be working in the business, but work on the business. No, that's great. What advice, Lance, as we continue to jack around with this COVID-19 and the next variant and, whatever it may be, and, what would you say to somebody that's thinking about investing in a business? I'm worried about this COVID-19 stuff and, they're going to shut us down again. And what advice would you give somebody that's looking at investing in a franchise still in this kind of COVID world?
Well, from what I'm seeing in the numbers and, just even looking at the stock market, businesses are doing really well, even, counterproductive to what the media might be saying. So businesses are doing well. I think there's a lot of pent up demand there for people that want to be, back to in-person services, and it's relevant to our business. And nothing is ever going to replace, the in-person experience. And so that's, I look at spaces where you can accomplish that and would seek those opportunities, if you will. Our CEO likes to say, the at-home kitchen never replaced the restaurant, never will, and so it's the same in our business. There was a lot of talk last year that, digital and at-home fitness was going to replace the in-person experience and that people weren't going to come back. Well, that couldn't be farther from the truth. I mean, our members wanted to come desperately to our workouts, but, because of, some of the restrictions that were imposed on us, we had to get creative. And so we pivoted to a digital model to accommodate those members. But those members are back and then some at this point, and we're seeing new segments now coming into our business that we never even saw previous to COVID, which speaks to our earnings call and how the performance of our company at this point. Looking forward, I don't have a crystal ball and can't predict if there's going to be another pandemic and what that looks like. But I guess I would say relative to our business model, again, we made it through. There were a lot of silver linings for us, actually, that we found from a business perspective going through it. We are stronger than we've ever been at this point, and now we have the playbook. God forbid we have to ever kind of go through something like that again. But I don't foresee us really going back to kind of the lockdowns that we saw on the first round, because we know that really doesn't work. So maybe there's some mask mandates and things of that nature. But a good example, I would say, even as you mentioned, we're technically still in COVID time right now with this variant. Anthony mentioned this on our earnings call, that we are not, and we're watching it, but we have not seen any negative impacts from the Delta, variable in our business model at all. We continue to grow both with our memberships, our what we look at. We look at the business model in terms of new members coming in. We look at retention. We look at freezes. We look at utilization. So all those things, every KPI that we look at is going in a positive direction in our business model, and continues, and that is, with COVID. So I think what people are realizing, and again, kind of coming back to your question about investing in a franchise, is that I think people are realizing that, this COVID thing's going to kind of be here for a while. And so, we really need to work on our health, and, and that's what we have found, is people are starting to figure out, the best defense here is going to be to get healthy and get out of a, high risk scenario. And so business models that can.
Lance, are you pointing at me? Don't point at me like that. No, it's true. And I had heard from, I heard a private equity speaker, and he was talking a little bit about during recessions and pandemics, is that, people, they can't control if they got a job, they can't control anything, but they can't control about how they feel about themselves, whether it's working out, getting healthy, or the way in which they look. And I think that's true, is that people are just ready to get back onto life, and they're going to control what they can control. They can't control if we have the next variant and stuff like that. And I think you guys have done a great job of showing that even during a pandemic, you can continue to thrive and through great support and working together with the franchisees.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and you're right. I mean, and that's not just what we think. History tells that story through the data. Even after '08, there were only 4 segments that continued to grow after '08, and fitness was one of them. It grew from a $19 billion industry to a $22 billion industry during that span, from '08 to 2011. And so, what we found is that people traveled less, they ate out less, but they started focusing more on health and wellness. And those segments did really well. And we, again, seeing the same thing kind of in a with the pullback with the pandemic, again, we're seeing a lot of pent up demand. And now it's interesting because we use this system called Buxton. They do psychodemographics and segmentation modeling. And it's kind of scary how much they know about us these days and are watching us. But
I don't want to know.
But the model continues to learn too as we open, in new markets, as new segments start to come into our business. So, pre-COVID, we saw a lot of segments that were in general, wanting to be, active. They were working out somewhere and wanted, to engage in our brands. So more active members, if you will, than what we're seeing now. We're still seeing those, but we're seeing, in addition to that, people that were pretty much sedentary, sitting on the couch, but are realizing now, I need to get healthy. And so it's been a really, great thing for our business model.
Okay, I'll join. I'm gonna go get a membership here. All right, come on, go easy on me. Well, Lance, congratulations on all the success with Exponential. I mean, it's amazing what you guys have accomplished, and I just can't wait to have you again. You'll be our first third timer here. You give us an update here. Don't give us any confidential information, but just we want to stay in touch with you because it's so exciting to see Anthony and his entire leadership team roll out this grand vision and being the very best globally.
Thank you. We really appreciate it. I was telling a candidate this morning that I graduated with a kinesiology and business degree. So I'm, literally living my dream here as a partner in this thing. And so we're having fun and it's a great business and we've got great partners and we're excited about, what's going forward for us.
Thanks for listening to the Hire Yourself podcast. For more resources, check out our website at hireyourself.com. And remember to subscribe to this podcast to receive each episode. Please leave us a rating, and we'd love to hear your feedback or suggestions for topics.